Hey everybody, how we doing? It's Mark Ross. It is 1:30 on Thursday, June 8th. Just coming up to expect a press conference between Biden and Sunak, the Prime Minister of the UK. So we'll have a full rundown on that tomorrow. But today, these are 5 things I'm watching. First thing I'm watching, Politico, the struggle to control AI. The EU and the US are meeting in Sweden to sort out AI. And what's interesting about this is that it's 3 things actually. Global trade and technology are key. The idea of forming a framework around shared democratic values is key. And the third thing to point out is that unlike Web 1.0, Web 2.0, where it was really the Wild West, Web 3.0, this new age of AI will be heavily regulated. Governments will be much more involved. You're not going to have the kind of free, laissez-faire, libertarian approach to the internet we've enjoyed in the past. So going forward, a lot more government oversight, a lot more regulation. In fact, the bigger companies, be mindful of the guys that are already out there winning this space are acting for regulation. Usually when the big guys are acting for regulation, they're doing this to shore up market share, not because they are good guys. Speaking of good guys, Bloomberg's got a story about satellites. The U.S. Space Force is going to send up close to, what am I going to say here? Thousands of satellites, they're calling microsatellites, that will be placed about 22,000 miles above Earth. They're there for one reason, to track what the Chinese and Russians are doing in space. Tim Marshall, who has written a lot of great books about geography on the planet, has a recent book about space. Space is the next frontier. As you look to control what's happening on planet Earth, you really got to control and understand what's happening in space. So check out that story. The project is called Silent Barker. Speaking of Silent Barker, Karl Rove in the Wall Street Journal has got his weekly column. This week he's talking about how both Trump and Biden could lose. Really some interesting stuff about Biden. His numbers are horrible. Unlikely to see them get any better. And like really his only pathway to getting back to the White House is to eviscerate Trump. So they're really hoping that Trump comes through the nomination. But without that, who knows, anything could happen. And it's very likely that Trump, frankly, could be president again. So something to watch. Check that out. Karl Rove with his weekly column in the Wall Street Journal. Other story I'm watching today, Lionel Messi, the GOAT from Argentina via Barcelona, via PSG, is going to enter Miami in the MLS. What's interesting about this is that Adidas and Apple are also helping to fund this sports relationship, which has some other teams in the MLS, almost like it's like a new way NIL deal that they won't have to essentially, monitor the spending cap. So, having outsized funding sources, revenue shares has been done before. When David Beckham came over to play for the LA Galaxy, Adidas cut him in on the jersey sales. And to give you a sense, over $130 million worth of jerseys, Messi jerseys, were sold just last year. So certainly him coming to Miami as soon as July 5th, and that's like 6 weeks. What is that? 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks away. Expect him to do quite well with jersey sales. But this is a new arrangement. Apple also announced that they're going to do a documentary on Messi. So Messi, he's coming to Miami. Miami's super hot. You got the Panthers, you got the Heat. Now you got the Inter Miami. Finally, I spoke to PR Week about FARA, LIV Golf, and PGA, especially from a communication standpoint. Just the too long don't read, but I'll just give you the highlights. What you have here now is you have LIV, which is under control of the Saudi Arabians under their public investment fund. You have a district court saying that in fact is a foreign operation. You must register as a foreign agent. What's interesting about this is now geopolitics, sports, money, communications all coming together, and you've got clubs like Man City, which is owned by a sovereign wealth fund. You have clubs like PSG, also owned by a sovereign wealth fund. You even have teams in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, owned by a Taiwanese Canadian. So you're going to see more and more of this mixing up of geopolitics and sports. It's no longer about putting the ball in the back of the net. There are a lot more stakeholders involved. And my recommendation to folks that are doing communications, get smarter on geopolitics. And if you're not smart enough on geopolitics, give me a call. Happy to help. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great evening.